Welcome back. In our last video, you practiced working with variables, data types, and even built your own calculator. Great work. Now let's shift the gears. Today, we're going to cover common coding terms that every beginner should know. These are words you'll hear over and over as you continue learning, and understanding them now will make everything easier down the road. Let's get started. Programming, like any field, has its own set of vocabulary. Learning these basic terms is like learning the rules of the road before you start driving. It helps you understand what's going on, communicate with others, and feel more confident as you build bigger projects. Key terms every beginner should know. Let's break them down in simple terms with relatable examples. The first one we're going to cover is going to be a variable. A variable is a container for storing data. Think of this example of name. Name can hold the value of Alex. Name is our container, and Alex is the contents of that container. A real-world analogy would be like saving someone's phone number under the name in your contacts. Data type. Data type is a kind of data stored like text, which is a string, numbers, which could be your ints or your floats, or true or false, which are your booleans. Function. A function is a block of code that performs a specific task. You can use it whenever you need it. Here's an example of a function called greet. This greet function takes in this line of code that says print, and within this print statement, we're saying hello. We define the function, and then we are able to reuse this function and call it over and over again. By calling the name of the function followed by the parentheses, we can see the print statement displayed. A function allows us to compartmentalize our code and reuse it over and over again within our code. This method adheres to the dry concept that we as developers like to stick to, which is don't repeat yourself. If you have a piece of code that's going to be used over and over again in your program, it's probably a good idea to add it into a function so it's easier to use throughout your entire program. Think of a coffee machine. When you press a button and it runs a preset process, that's pretty much a built-in function that has a set functionality that can be used over and over again. Loop. A loop is a way to repeat code multiple times without writing over and over. Take this code example. For I in range of 3. Now this might look a little foreign, but here we started a loop that's going to iterate from the range of 3, and at every iteration we're going to print practice makes perfect. This allows us to repeat an action a certain amount of times to do something dynamically. Conditional statements. Conditional statements allow your program to make decisions. Say you have a variable called age set to 18. Maybe you like to set a condition where if the age is greater or equal to 18, they are an adult, and maybe they are allowed to get a job, drive, depending on what the rules might be set for your program. Or if they're a minor, they shouldn't be allowed to do certain things. So it should say, print, you're a minor. A real-world analogy will be like deciding what to wear based on the weather forecast. If the temperature is above a certain degrees, maybe you should wear better clothing to adhere to the heat. If it's below a certain degree, maybe wear a jacket. A list. A list is a collection of items in a specific order. Here we have a shopping list with different values of apples, bananas, and carrots. Lists allow us to create collections of multiple different data types to be able to better format our values. Think of a shopping list. You can add, remove, or check off items. Dictionary. A collection of key value pairs, great for organizing information. Here we have a contact dictionary where we have key value pairs. The key of name has the value of Alex, and the key of phone has a value of 5551234. Like a real dictionary, we have a word and a definition. In coding, it's a key and a value. This is very similar to a list, but unlike a list, we are able to give it a key to use to reference the specific value we're looking for. Syntax. Syntax is the set of rules that defines the structure of your code. Miss it and your code won't work. Here we have a print statement of hello world. And on the second line, we also have print hello world, but we forget a parentheses. The syntax tells us here that a print statement requires an open and closing parentheses to work correctly. Because this doesn't adhere to the syntax rules, this will throw an error. Syntax is easily comparable to something like grammar in the English language, where you set punctuation, commas, or how you structure a sentence are the rules or grammar of the English language. Just like English or Spanish has their own grammar or syntax rules, so does Python. Debugging. Debugging is finding and fixing errors, or in our case, we call them bugs, in your code. We do this by different ways. A very common way is by using print statements. It's not uncommon to put a print statement at different parts of your code to see where your code was able to get up to or fail. If you add a print statement at the bottom part of your code and it never reaches that part, we'd know by seeing that the fact that the print statement was never declared. Debugging is like proofreading an essay. It allows you to spot mistakes before turning it in. Comments. A comment is a note you leave in your code to explain what is happening. Python ignores comments when running the code. Here we have the line of print hello world, and above it we have a comment identified by the hashtag that tells us that this prints a greeting. Comments are very helpful when working in teams with other developers, so we all understand what different functions or different parts of our code are doing. It's also very helpful in the event you work on a program and don't touch it again for a couple months. Connecting the terms. Think about the mini calculator you just built. You use variables to store numbers. Those numbers had data types, which were floats or integers. If you expanded, you'll likely use a function to organize your code. If you added a menu or choices, you use conditional statements. Do you see how this all fits together? The more you learn, the more these terms will become second nature. Today, you've learned the language of coding. These terms are your toolkit for writing and understanding programs and talking with other developers. Next up, we'll start building bigger things, putting all these pieces together step by step. Trust me, you're more than ready than you think. The best way to learn is by doing. Keep practicing, keep experimenting, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's where the learning happens. Thanks for sticking with me through these coding basics. You're building real skills and it's only going to get better from here. Keep coding and I'll see you in the next module.